So for this term, for the book talk, I decided to read this book on Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. It's called When the Game Was Ours. So this book is about the story of the two basketball players, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. These two are considered to be one of the biggest rivals in NBA history. If you know anything about basketball, the two most historical teams with the most championships are the Celtics and the Lakers. Magic Johnson played for the Lakers his whole career, same as Larry Bird. He played for the Celtics. And these two teams, whenever they would face off, it was always a battle because they've been competitors the entire time. They're the two regional teams that were in the NBA when it first started up. So they have been going head to head for as long as the NBA has been around. Now, this book talks an awful lot about when they would meet up and play games together and how they would just try and one up each other here. You know, you make a basket, I gotta make a basket. You make a layup, I gotta go dunk on you or something like that. And I think a lot of the theme that is found in the book is competition because these two were both very competitive, very confident, cocky, and they all wanted the same end goal. They all wanted to win. It tells a little bit about the individual history of the two. Magic Johnson, for example, he is not your typical point guard. He is built a lot like Larry Bird in the sense he's built like a small forward or a power forward. He's 6'10", I think, and he plays point guard, which seems odd because most point guards are about 6'1", 6'2", but he was a true point guard. He knew how to pass the ball. He knew how to score. He knew how to handle the ball. He was a good point guard. And it talks about how, his battle with figuring out how to do all that as a kid because he wanted to be the point guard, but he was too tall. So he had to figure out how to do things better with his body because handling the ball is a lot easier when you're smaller. And it talks about Larry Bird and how he's a funny guy because he got drafted a year earlier than he was allowed to actually play in the NBA. So he had to sit out a season, but in the end, it was better for the Celtics for taking him. And it talks about where they'd play games and just basically they go tit for tat. If Magic Johnson would score, Larry Bird got the ball and scored. Bird scored, Johnson would go score the ball. They were rivals, but also good friends in the NBA. And it talks a lot about how they were some of the most fierce competitors in the entire Eastern and Western Conference. Larry Bird was one of the most fantastic NBA players of all time. When just a funny story from the book, it tells about how he went to an all-star game and in his warm-up jacket says, "All right, who's getting second?" And then he won. So a lot of the book is about competition. These two were very competitive players, and it tells you a lot about the battles between the two of them in their NBA games. And it was a really fun book to read. I would recommend it to all of you. It's if you're interested in basketball or old old basketball, this is a good book to read. It tells you a lot about basically the history of the NBA because those two are a huge part of the history of the NBA.